Joining me live is Full Stop Australia CEO Karen Bevan. Thank you very much for your time. The reaction to all of this, I guess let's just focus on what's going to happen from here on in this Wednesday National Cabinet meeting. What do you make of that? Does it feel like this is getting major attention now and perhaps some action?
Look, I reckon that the National Cabinet meeting is a really good first step. We've got to be laser-like in our focus now on addressing gender-based violence in this country. We need to focus on intimate partner violence, domestic and family violence, and sexual violence has to be part of this conversation. So I think it's a really great first step. A National Cabinet meeting is a really important way to get everybody around the table and start having these important conversations, because let's remember, governments can only act really in this space in concert. So we need action from the federal government, we need the action from, state and territory governments across the country. And unless they get together and agree on some pretty clear priorities that we all would see nationally and then get really serious about their states, we're not going to make the change that is absolutely needed.
Well, and, I guess this is even part of the problem in terms of what the priorities are. We had the list of 5 outlined, for example, as part of the rally organisers yesterday. Did you agree with them, for example? Is a Royal Commission needed? Is that just wasted time and money, given we did have a 2016 Royal Commission, a Victorian one, into family violence?
Look, the 2016 Victorian Royal Commission was an incredibly galvanising moment for that state. So I guess that you would say we've seen Royal Commissions that have led to real change. I don't think anything's off the table here. Let's think about what do we actually need. So we need some kind of major public movement on the prevention end. And maybe that's where those sort of big picture national inquiries could focus, because we need to stop it before the start. Sorry to use a bit of a cliche, but the bottom line is the best way to prevent women dying as a result of intimate partner violence is to change the dynamic of these relationships. So we do need to do that, and I'm not sure what the best way to do that is. I know that the National Commissioner is holding a roundtable next week, which will bring together a lot of stakeholders to have this conversation. But honestly, let's not take anything off the table now. Let's get really busy talking about what's going on in every state and how do we ramp it up. There's a lot of action that's very diffuse through systems, and what we can see and what we've seen through some unfortunate cases recently is that it's when those systems actually fail to see where risk is. We've got information. We really need to, work out how do we utilise it? How do we make that change?
Yeah, obviously there's parts of the end of the system which are obviously crucial around bail laws and protections. What a lot of people want to see as well is the cultural element. I mean, are you encouraged that it's such a focus now that perhaps the generation coming through now is going to be better in terms of not having this, what has been a culture of not many men, but enough men being violent against women? Or do you have concerns? I mean, people talk about some of the exposures to violent pornography and other things like that online that previous generations weren't exposed to. Has the culture change happened, do you think?
Look, I think it's a really complex mix. Personally, I'm hugely inspired by the young people that I work with, the young victim survivors, the advocates, who are absolutely leading incredibly sophisticated, nuanced conversations about relationships. So I'm really inspired on that end, but I know that our young people and our children are dealing with unprecedented levels of exposure to really concerning material. Both things can be true at once, and I think what we need to do is amplify those more helpful voices and think about what is it that we need to do to change the way that children are accessing pornography, the exposure to violent pornography. I think that's got to be part of the conversation. We've got to be having conversations about sexual violence in this country, and what does it mean to say, yes, we're supportive of affirmative consent. How do we translate that into action? But let me say this is not all about young people. right? So we've got to make sure that when we're changing behaviours, changing attitudes, that we are working across the generations. There's plenty of older people, and when I say older, I probably mean like me, who are on dating apps, who are out there in the relationship world, and those people also need to be revisiting and making sure that they understand the rules about relationships. So, you know, it's not young people's responsibility to lead the whole thing, but personally, I'm inspired by them.
No, I wasn't suggesting it was, but just whether, that when we talk about cultural change, whether it's sort of happening, if you like, and that the later generations might be adapting a bit slower. Appreciate your thoughts today,
Probably
Karen
right
Bevan.
there,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Thank you.